right, hi everyone. Let me adjust my camera here real quick. There we go. That should, that should work out better. So thanks so much everyone for tuning in to this video, and we are going to be going over the updated RPI numbers in this video based on the Crossroads League schools only. And again, you look at the updated RPI numbers, and you look at the teams that have for sure clinched bids in a national tournament in terms of the RPI rating, and those following teams are Freed-Hardman, Bethel, Tennessee, Marion, St. Francis, Dordt, Campbellsville, Rio Grande, Lindsey Wilson, Tennessee Southern, Evangel, Loyola, Mid-America Nazarene out of Kansas, Corbin, Dakota State, Dakota Wesleyan, Montana Tech, Georgetown, William Carey, Southeastern, LSU Shreveport, Lewis Clark State, Eastern Oregon, Friends out of Kansas, Mid-America Christian out of Oklahoma, Spring Arbor, Columbia out of Missouri, Concordia out of Nebraska, Langston, Benedictine out of Kansas, Cumberland's out of Kentucky, Faulkner out of Alabama, and those are your 31 teams in the final RPI rating. Those are your teams that for sure have clinched bids, either an at-large or an auto bid based on where they stand in the RPI rating. So looking at the previous RPI rating, where was the Crossroads League schools in the final RPI rating? Well, we are going to take a look at that. I'll go over the RPI with you in this video, as well as the latest ARC and quad records as well. So the last teams, the Crossroads League schools in the last RPI, Marion was 3rd, St. Francis was 5th. Their RPI rating was 672, as well as 668. Their strength of schedule was 19th and 12th. Their opponent's winning percentage was 566 and 582. Now, Marion is 3rd in the RPI. They were also 3rd last time. Last time, their strength of schedule was 19th. This time, it also remains 19th, and their opponent's winning percentage is 566. Last time, 566, so it stayed the same. St. Francis moved up to 4th, and last time they were 5th last time. They moved up to 4th this time. St. Francis, last time their strength of schedule was 12th. Now it's 11th. Their opponent's winning percentage 597. Previously, it was 582. So that is a view of them. And then our next Crossroads League school down, Spring Arbor, fell 7 spots down to 25th in the RPI. And for Spring Arbor, their RPI rate, and I stand corrected, Marion St. Francis RPI rating 676 and 671. Last time it was 672 and 666. Spring Arbor's RPI rating last time was 613. This time it is 609. Their strength of schedule is 33rd. Last time it was 32nd, so it did go down just a little bit. Their opponent's winning percentage now is 545, and last time it was 540, so it did go up slightly there. And then the next Crossroads League school, Bethel's 37th in the RPI. Last time they were 40th, so they dropped 3 spots. They are 37th in the RPI. Now, Spring Arbor's RPI rating was 613 last time, and I alluded to that, 609 this time. And then we had Bethel, their RPI rating is 30, their rank's 37th, their rating is 590. Last time they were 40th at 583. They are 590 this time. Their strength of schedule is 26th. Last time it was 32nd, so it did go up. Their opponent's winning percentage now is 559, and last time it was 541, so it did go way up there. And then Taylor, they are 58th now in the RPI. They were 57th last time. Last time they were 57th, and their strength of schedule was 22nd. This time they're 58th, so they dropped 1. Their strength of schedule is 18, so it did go up. Their opponent's winning percentage now is 571, and last time it was 558. Now it's 571, so it did go up. And then lastly, for Indiana Wesleyan, they've gone up 4 spots. Last time they were 49th, and their RPI rating was 576. And I mentioned Taylor's RPI rating was 566 last time. If I did not mention that, I apologize. 566 RPI rating last time for Taylor. Now it's 568. And then I alluded to their strength of schedule went from 22nd to 18th. And then their opponent's winning percentage is 571 now. And last time it was 558. And then for IWU, last time they were 49th, so they moved up 4 spots. Their RPI rating was 576. Their RPI rating now is 580. Their strength of schedule last time was 10th. Their final strength of schedule number is 8th. It's really, really good to see that. And then their And then you had their opponent's winning percentage is 606 now. Last time it was 597, so that went up. And then the last team that I haven't talked about yet in terms of the Crossroads is Huntington. Huntington dropped 11 spots. Last time they were 38th in the RPI. Their RPI rating was 584. Now they are 47th. Their RPI rating is 578, so that did go down. Their strength of schedule, though, is 16th. Last time it was 15th, so it did drop 1, but pretty much stayed the same. And their opponent's winning percentage is 574 now. Last time, their opponent's winning percentage was 576. Now it is 574, so it did go down slightly. And that is an updated view of the final RPI numbers in terms of where everybody stood as opposed to last time. So I hope that that was super helpful to you. And I know I mentioned all of the numbers for Bethel, Huntington, and Iowa, as well as Taylor. So that is an updated view of that. And now we look at the ARC numbers. And the ARC numbers, let me adjust my, just a second here. Let me adjust my camera here. That should work. Yeah, that should work. So now we go to the ARC numbers and we look at that. And I did want to look at real quick, I wanted to look at the previous ARC numbers for the Crossroads League schools. I did want to take a look at that. And the last ARC, just a second here. The last ARC numbers in terms of the Crossroads schools was, okay, all right. So last time the Crossroads League schools, Marion and St. Francis were second. They are once again 1-2 this time, so that did not change. Rio was third last time in the ARC. They remain third. Spring Arbor was fourth last time in the ARC. They remain fourth. Bethel last time was seventh. They moved up to fifth. Huntington is sixth now. Last time they were fifth. And then Indiana Tech is now seventh. And last time Indiana Tech was sixth. So they did drop 1 spot. Iwu last time was eighth. They remain eighth. Olivet Nazarene last time was 10th. They now are 9th. Taylor last time was 9th. They now are 10th. Shawnee State was 12th last time. They moved up 1 to 11th. Rochester Christian fell to 14th, or was 14th, excuse me, in the the last ARC. Shawnee State was 12th, and they now are 11th, so they moved up 1. And then I alluded to Taylor. Taylor was 9th. They fell 1 spot to 10th. I mentioned Shawnee. Rochester is now 12th. Last time they were 14th, so they actually moved up 2 spots. St. Francis of Illinois last time was 11th. They fell 2 spots to 13th. Brescia last time was 16th. They moved up 2 spots to 14th. Midway last time was 13th. They fell 2 spots to 15. And last time, so St. Xavier actually fell out of the top 16 Emma North Arc. And now IU South Bend has joined in as that number 16 team. So that is an updated view of the updated view of the ARC numbers as well. And so making my final predictions, so I'm going to record a separate video going over my final national tournament prediction based off of the final ARC and final RPI. And the quad records, I forgot that. So let's get to the quad records here. And I'm going to pull up the quad records, and I'm going to look at where everybody was last time, just in terms of the Crossroads League schools, and then I will look at where everybody is in the ARC, or not in the ARC, but where everybody is in the quad records this time. I'm going to look at that. So, okay. So last time, Bethel out of Indiana, and again, we're just talking about the Crossroads League schools. So we've talked about the updated RPI numbers in terms of the Crossroads League schools. We've also gone over the updated ARC numbers from the Crossroads League schools only. So now we are going to go over the updated ARC numbers, and this is, not the ARC, but we're going to go over the updated quad records in this video for all of the Crossroads schools. We've gone over the latest RPI, or the final RPI numbers. We've also gone over the final ARC numbers. So now we're going to go over the final quad record numbers. And then I'm going to record a video after this one going over making my final predictions based on all the bubble teams listed on my sheet of paper, where they stand in the RPI, where they stand in their quad records, making my final predictions based off of that. And then I mentioned in my first video that tomorrow I'm going to record my final episode before we get into the national tournament opening rounds next weekend, going over making my predictions on roughly where the seeding line is going to be for all the teams that got auto bids, as well as those that will get at-large bids. That is an episode that I cannot wait to share with you tomorrow, and it is my very first year doing it in terms of that particular content, and I'm going to do that every single year moving forward because I think it will be very helpful and super informative to you as well. So again, make sure that you stay tuned for that tomorrow, and please subscribe down below to my channel so you do not miss out on any of this important information. So looking at the last quad records, because we've gone over the RPI and ARCs, so now we go over to the final quad numbers. Last time Bethel was 4-6 in quad 1. They were 4-2 in quad 2. They were 6-0 and 4-0 respectively in 3 and 4. And so now this time, last time Bethel was 4-6 in quad 1. This time they are 4-8, so they did drop 2 games. They finished 5-2 in quad 2. Last time they were 4-2, so they did pick up a quad 2 win. They were 6-0 last time in quad 3. This time they're 7-0, so they did pick up 1 win there, and that more than likely was Mount Vernon Nazarene in the regular season. Bethel finished 4-0 in quad 4, and previously they were 4-0 in quad 4 as well. So now getting down to our next team in terms of the Crossroads schools that are either locked in, or really just those bubble teams, not really those that are locked in, because those that are locked in, meaning Spring Arbor, St. Francis Marion, obviously, they're locked in, but I guess I could go over their updated numbers as well. So now getting down to Huntington. Last time Huntington was 5-8 in quad 1, and this time they were 5-8 last time. They're 5-11 now, and last time they were 4-0 in quad 2, and this time they are 3-0 in quad 2. Last time they were 4-0, and this time they are 3-0, so they did lose a game there. They're 6-0 now in quad 3. Last time they were 4-0, so they picked up 2 games there. And again, when you talk about these quad records, this is going to change because whoever you have played over the course of the year, not just in your conference, but also in your non-conference as well, if the teams that you played fall beneath a certain level in the RPI, then therefore that particular win or loss that, let's just say, Huntington had could go from quad 1 to quad 2, or it could go from quad 1 to quad 3, or quad 2 to quad 3, and so on and so forth. It just varies based on where the teams fell in their final RPI rating to where Huntington played them over the course of the year. So that is a view of Huntington. They were 5-8 and 4-0 in quads 1 and 2 last time. Now they are 5-11 and 3-0. They are 6-0 in quad 3 last time. They were 4-0. They were 3-0 in quad 4 last time. This time they are 2-0 in quad 4. So they actually dropped a couple games there. So those games went over to quad 3. And then our next team down, I guess we'll look at Marion. Marion 13-2, and I'm not. I guess I could look at what Marion was last time, just for conversational purposes. Marion was 11-2 last time in quad 3. They're 13-2 this time. They are 5-0 in quad 2 now. Last time they were 4-0 in quad 2. This time they're 5-0, and they're 5-0 now, 4-0 last time. Last time they were 5-0 in quad 3. This time they are 8-0. And then 2-0 in quad 4 this time for Marion. Last time in quad 4 was 3-0. And then looking down at the next team, St. Francis out of Indiana, last time they were 11-2 in quad 1. This time they are 11-4 in quad 1. Last time they were 11-2. This time they are 11-4. They're 7-0 in quad 2, and last time in quad 2 they were 4-1, so they did pick up 3 wins in quad 2 and then their original quad 2 loss got taken away based on how the RPI ratings went. 5-0 in quad 3 last time for St. Francis. This time they are 8-0 in quad 3, And then 3-0 last time in quad 4, this time 1-0, so they did actually lose quite a few games in quad 4, but again, not too terribly bad. And then we look at Spring Arbor. This time they are 6-7 in quad 1. Last time they were 6-5. They were 4-0 last time in quad 2. This time they are 4-0, 7-0 in quad 3, 4-0 in quad 4. Last time they were 5-0 and 5-0, so they did move a little bit there. And then for Taylor, last time they were 4-8 in quad 1. This time Taylor is 4-10. They finished 3-0 in quad 2. Last time they were 4-0, and this time they are 3-0. So they did lose one game in quad 2. They finished 6-2 in quad 3. Last time in quad 3 they were 4-1. So they did win 2, lose 1 in that category. And last time they are 3-0 in quad 4. Last time they're 4-0 actually, so they did not change in terms of quad 4. Yeah, they did. They did gain one game in quad 4. So that is a view of Taylor. And then our final team, Indiana Wesleyan. Last time Indiana Wesleyan, and again, this more than likely just talks about these quad records just go over, they just mean what they did in the regular season. I don't believe they don't count league tournament games going towards these records, which again, that makes perfect sense. And for the Wildcats, last time they were 5-1 in quad 1. And this time they finished 6-11 in quad 1, which again is not too terribly bad. But when you look, and again, you want to have as many quad 1 wins as you can, but at the same time, you don't want to have a ton of quad 1 games, because you look at quad 2, they finished 2-1 in quad 2. They only had 3 total quad 2 games. So for those bubble teams that have more than 2 or 3 quad 2 games are going to more than likely be ahead of Indiana Wesleyan in terms of getting in as an at-large because of playing more quad 2 games. So IWU finished 2-1 in quad 2. Last time they also were 2-1. This time they're 2-1. Now in quad 3, this time IWU's 5-1. Last time they're 3-1. So they actually gained 2 wins in quad 3. So again, that helps them in that category. And then they finished 3-0 in quad 4. And last time they were 4-0, so they did lose one quad 4 game there. And that is an updated view of the final quad records. So we covered, we did cover, we covered all of the quad records, we covered all of the new ARC numbers, and we covered all of the final RPI numbers. So in the next video, I'm going to do my final national tournament prediction based on all the bubble teams, where all the bubble teams are at in terms of RPI, as well as ARC and quad records. Now again, those bubble teams, not all the bubble teams are going to show up in the final ARC numbers, because they were not one of that. If that happens, that means that they were not one of the best teams in their respective arc. Now when you look at an arc, for example, in the North Arc, where Indiana Wesleyan is and where all the Crossroads schools are for that matter, there's 3 other conferences within that arc. That is the CCAC, the Chicagoland Collegiate Athletic Conference. That is also the River States in the conference that Rio Grande is in, and it is also the WAC, the Wolverine Hoosier Athletic Conference, where Indiana Tech, Rochester Christian, where they are. That is part of the North Arc. So can't wait to dive into that content here momentarily. So if you did enjoy this video of going over the final RPI, ARC, and quad records, please either like, comment, or subscribe. Any one of those options helps me out greatly. Thanks so much for tuning into this video, and I cannot wait to be back with you in my next video when I make my final national tournament predictions based on where all the bubble teams stand in their final RPI, ARC, and their final RPI and their final ARC number. If that ends up being the case, and again, it varies between a lot of the teams, and also the final quad records. Can't wait to dive into all of that. See you soon, and God bless.